Midsomer Murders has captivated audiences for decades with its gripping mysteries and picturesque English countryside setting. The show introduced us to countless memorable characters portrayed by talented actors who left an indelible mark on the series. Sadly, many of these beloved stars have passed away, each leaving behind a legacy of unforgettable performances. In this video, we honor the lives and careers of 38 actors from the iconic series who have tragically passed on. From their remarkable roles to the heartfelt stories of their lives, join us as we celebrate their contributions and pay tribute to their enduring memory. Barry Jackson, who portrayed the reliable and attentive Dr. George Bullard in Midsomer Murders starting in 1997, was 59 when he first took on the role. Bullard's character, known for his thorough and professional approach to his work, became a staple of the show, offering vital insights to DCI Barnaby's investigations. In contrast to his on-screen success, Jackson's personal life was marked by deep turmoil. His 2 marriages ended in divorce, and despite having children, his relationships with them were strained and emotionally distant. As the years passed, Jackson found himself battling the cruel progression of cancer. The disease took a toll not only on his physical health but also on his spirit, as he faced it alone, with few emotional supports. He passed away on December 5, 2013, at the age of 75, a victim of a long and painful illness that overshadowed his remarkable career. His death was the tragic conclusion of a life filled with unfulfilled personal connections and the slow devastation of his body by cancer.
And hit his head on the corner of the basin.
How long's he been dead?
2 hours maximum.
But quite a struggle before he went, by the look of it.
Timothy Bateson, who appeared as the wise James Jocelyn in a 1998 Midsomer Murders episode, was 72 at the time. Bateson's career spanned decades, and he was known for his mastery of both stage and screen acting. However, his personal life was less stable. His first marriage ended in painful divorce, and his second was similarly troubled, filled with emotional distance and unresolved conflicts. Despite professional success, Bateson's heartache and loneliness were constant companions. As he grew older, his health began to fail, and the isolation he felt only grew. In his final years, Bateson's health rapidly declined, and his struggle with aging was compounded by a sense of lost opportunities and regret. He passed away on September 15, 2009, at the age of 83, his death marking the end of a life full of accomplishments but shadowed by personal sorrow and the inevitable toll of aging.
I'm sure more details will come in once we have probate.
Oh, you're handling his will as well, are you?
Oh, yes, that's right, yes.
Tony Haygarth, who played George Napier in a 2001 episode of Midsomer Murders, was 52 at the time. Known for his solid, reliable roles, Haygarth's performance in this episode reflected his versatility as an actor. Off-screen, however, his life was far less stable. His first marriage ended in divorce, leaving him emotionally scarred. His second marriage was filled with unresolved issues, creating a sense of emotional turmoil that followed him throughout his life. In his later years, Haygarth was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, which progressively robbed him of his cognitive abilities and left him in a constant state of confusion and frustration. The actor, who once captivated audiences with his sharp wit and depth, found himself increasingly isolated, both mentally and emotionally. After years of dealing with the ravaging effects of the disease, he passed away on March 10, 2017, at the age of 72. His death was a painful end to a man who had once been vibrant but who ultimately succumbed to the heartbreaking decline caused by Alzheimer's.
Ain't getting his rations.
Whatever. You better turn the volume down. It's the doctor quacks loudest.
Ronald Pickup, who portrayed Ernest Balliol in the 2003 Midsomer Murders episode, was 63 when he took on the role, bringing to life a character marked by both charm and unsettling mystery. Pickup had a distinguished career, but his personal life was often marked by turmoil. His marriage to actress Laura Tarrant ended in a bitter divorce after many years, leaving Ronald devastated. They had one son, Gabriel, but their relationship grew strained over time, leaving him isolated. In his later years, Ronald faced increasing loneliness, as his health began to decline. Despite his professional success, the pain of his personal life overshadowed his final years. He passed away on February 24, 2021, at the age of 80 after a prolonged illness, having spent much of his later life distant from the people who had once been closest to him.
Aloysius is going to be shocked by what happened.
I don't care about that. The time is perfect. The aura surrounding her death is like a bridge. The spirits pass in both directions.
Haydn Gwynne played Jennifer Carter in the 2004 Midsomer Murders episode. At 47, she portrayed a character full of wit and intelligence, reflecting Gwynne's own sharpness and strength. Her career had its highs, but her personal life was marred by deep heartache. Gwynne's marriage to actor William Tynan ended in a bitter divorce, despite their 2 children, Rosalind and Charlie. The emotional strain from the separation haunted her for years, and the loss of her mother shortly after added to her grief. In her later years, Haydn faced the ravaging effects of cancer, but the loneliness from years of strained relationships and personal losses took an emotional toll. She passed away on October 20, 2023, at the age of 66 after a long battle with cancer, leaving behind a legacy of powerful performances, yet a life that had been marked by sorrow and solitude.
My sister Jenny.
Sorry, kid.
But I loved you.
Elizabeth Spriggs, who portrayed the eccentric Iris Rainbird in Midsomer Murders in 1997 at the age of 68, was a renowned actress known for her lively, gossip-driven roles. Iris was a flamboyant, meddling character who often found herself involved in Midsommer's mysteries, and Spriggs brought this role to life with humor and flair. However, her own life was much less colorful. She had 2 failed marriages, the first to actor David Levos, marked by emotional strain and infidelity, and the second to director Robin King, which also ended in divorce. Her personal loneliness was compounded by her choice not to have children, leaving her with few emotional supports. As she grew older, she struggled with declining health and financial difficulties, which overshadowed her once successful career. Spriggs passed away on July 2, 2008, at the age of 78 due to complications from surgery, a sad end for an actress whose personal battles were often hidden behind her vibrant performances.
What it'll cost to keep me quiet. Otherwise, I've got a story to tell, haven't I?
Una Stubbs portrayed Audrey Brailsford in the 1998 Midsomer Murders episode. She was 61 when she took on the role of Audrey, a character that mirrored her own vibrant and engaging personality. While her career spanned decades, earning her much admiration, her personal life was filled with heartbreak. Her first marriage to actor Nicky Henson ended in a painful divorce, leaving her to raise their 2 children, Jason and Robin, alone. Her second marriage to artist Alan Rutter faced its own difficulties, adding further strain to her life. As she grew older, Stubbs struggled with health issues and found herself distanced from her family, the emotional toll of her past relationships haunting her. Despite her popularity on screen, her final years were marked by increasing isolation, and she passed away quietly in her home, with few close friends left. Her death on August 12, 2021, at the age of 84 after a lengthy illness, served as a reminder that even those who have brightened our screens can face deep personal tragedies.
In Denmark.
Did he come back here after the writers' group meeting, Mrs. Jennings?
No. It was easier to overnight at Heathrow.
Do you remember?
Anna Massey, who played the enigmatic Brenda Packard in Midsomer Murders in 1998 at the age of 61, was known for her depth and intensity on screen. Brenda's mysterious and reserved character mirrored Massey's own complex personality. Massey's personal life, however, was filled with struggles. She was married to actor Julian Curry, but their union ended in divorce due to emotional strain and infidelity. She had 1 son, but their relationship was often distant as she poured her energy into her career. Massey struggled with mental health, particularly depression, and her later years were marked by a long, painful battle with cancer. Despite her professional success, she often felt isolated and withdrawn. She passed away on July 2, 2011, at the age of 73 after a prolonged battle with cancer, her death casting a shadow over her legacy as an actress who portrayed characters with the same emotional depth she experienced in her own life.
Officers have come to give me some news, Honoria. Good news.
Well, I'm sure it's of no interest to me.
Oh, as a matter of fact, there was something we wanted to ask you, Miss Lydia.
Tom Beard, who played Martin Fulmer in the 2002 episode of Midsomer Murders, was just 37 when he took on the role of the troubled and complex character. Martin Fulmer, with his tragic backstory and emotional turmoil, was a character Beard portrayed with a depth that reflected his own struggles. Beard's career had its highs, with appearances in various TV shows and films, but his personal life was far from glamorous. He had married once, but the union quickly fell apart due to his deep insecurities and inability to manage the pressures of fame. Although he had a daughter, their relationship was strained, as Beard's personal demons led him to emotional isolation. His mental health deteriorated, exacerbated by the stress of his career and personal life. Beard's life was further shattered when he was diagnosed with cancer, a cruel reminder of the instability that marked his years. Beard passed away on July 20, 2015, at the age of 50, leaving behind a life filled with unrealized potential and an unfinished career.
Reason to feel bitterly towards the Parks family.
I don't hold James Parks responsible for my daughter's death, let alone the Colonel.
Richard Johnson, who played the distinguished James Fitzroy in Midsomer Murders in 1999 at the age of 72, was known for his commanding presence both on stage and screen. James Fitzroy was a character of authority and dignity, traits Johnson embodied through his extensive career in theater and television. However, his personal life was riddled with heartbreak and tragedy. His first marriage to actress Jill Brown ended in a bitter divorce, and his second marriage to actress Kim Griffiths was short-lived, also ending in separation. His third marriage to actress Sid Heyman was filled with love but ended in grief when she passed away in 2000. Johnson's emotional struggles deepened with the loss of his wife, and his health deteriorated rapidly in his later years. Despite his battles with loneliness and loss, he continued to perform until his final days. He died on June 5, 2015, at the age of 87 after a short illness, leaving behind a legacy marked by both professional success and profound personal sorrow.
We're going to draw a blackthorn. I don't want you trying any of those walls.
I can jump a wall.
Rosalind Knight, who played Eleanor Macpherson in a 2003 Midsomer Murders episode, was 70 when she took on the role of the sharp-witted and formidable character. Knight was known for her ability to command attention on screen, and her portrayal of Eleanor Macpherson was no exception. However, Knight's real-life story was not as glamorous. Her personal life was marked by a failed marriage, which left her with emotional scars she struggled to heal. She had one child, a son, but their relationship was often strained due to Knight's emotional distance and her constant battle with her own demons. Despite her success, Knight struggled with loneliness and feelings of being misunderstood. The greatest tragedy came in her later years when she was diagnosed with breast and pancreatic cancer, a double blow that compounded the already difficult aspects of her life. After fighting bravely for years, Knight passed away on December 19, 2020, at the age of 87.
On her list, pork, sausages. She lost it.
Well, why don't you come back, Miss Macpherson?
No, those'll have to do.
June Whitfield, who played the endearing Molly Darnley in a 2005 Midsomer Murders episode, was 80 when she appeared on the show. Whitfield's career spanned decades, and she was beloved for her impeccable comedic timing and warmth. On screen, she radiated charm and positivity, but off-screen, her life was filled with challenges. Whitfield had been married, but her relationship was not without its struggles. Her husband's mental health issues and Whitfield's own emotional battles created a turbulent home life. While she was a loving mother, her relationship with her children was often strained due to the emotional distance caused by her unresolved issues. In her later years, Whitfield found herself alone, facing the harsh realities of aging. As her health deteriorated, Whitfield became more isolated, and her once strong body was slowly broken down by illness. She passed away on December 29, 2018, at the age of 93, after years of grappling with her health.
It was all old music sheets. He was giving them to Charlie.
Did he have any visitors?
Only Laura Crawford.
Patricia Brake, who portrayed in Quaritch in a 2000 episode of Midsomer Murders, was 58 when she took on the role of the enigmatic and complex character. Brake's career was filled with notable roles, but her personal life was less fortunate. She married young, but the union ended in a bitter divorce, leaving her emotionally shattered. She had 2 children, but their relationship was often strained, as Brake's career demands left her with little time for family. Her emotional scars deepened as she struggled with the pressures of balancing her public and private lives. Brake's later years were marred by a long battle with cancer, a disease that took away her strength and left her feeling vulnerable. Despite her fight, the disease continued to erode her body, and she passed away on May 28, 2022, at the age of 79. Her death marked the end of a life that had once been filled with promise and success but ultimately was consumed by the ravages of illness and the weight of personal tragedies.
They've called him Leonardo after that actor. And then there's the painting, of course. That's got people going.
Yeah, what's the feeling about that? Is it deliberate or casual or...?
John Shrapnel, who portrayed Leo Clark in the 1998 episode of Midsomer Murders, was 56 when he took on the role of the determined and intelligent character. Shrapnel's career was marked by a deep passion for acting, but his personal life was riddled with misfortune. He had married and had children, but his relationships were marred by frequent arguments and emotional disconnect. His first marriage ended in divorce, and although he remarried, the second relationship also faced significant challenges. The death of his first child, a son, deeply affected Shrapnel and cast a long shadow over his life. In his later years, Shrapnel faced the personal devastation of a cancer diagnosis, which slowly ravaged his health. The vibrant, talented actor who had once captivated audiences found himself succumbing to the cruel fate of illness, grappling with the loss of vitality and the isolation that cancer brings. John Shrapnel passed away on February 14, 2020, at the age of 77.
Of knowledge.
Honoria.
Stupid of me, but I seem to have forgotten my gloves. I'll say good night.
Georgine Anderson, who played Madge Fielding in the 2000 Midsomer Murders episode, was 72 when she joined the show. Known for her lively and engaging presence on screen, Anderson's personal life was much less bright. She had been married but experienced a tumultuous relationship with her husband, which eventually led to a painful divorce. Anderson had children, but the emotional distance between them grew over the years as her career took precedence over family life. Despite her professional success, Anderson faced personal battles with depression and loneliness. In her later years, she was diagnosed with a debilitating illness, which left her physically fragile and emotionally drained. Her once vibrant personality dimmed as she struggled with the overwhelming burden of age and health issues. Georgine Anderson passed away on February 15, 2024, at the age of 96. Geoffrey Hutchings portrayed Colin Smy in the 1998 episode of Midsomer Murders. He was 59 when he took on the role, delivering a character with a sharp mind and a dry wit, traits that Hutchings embodied effortlessly. Though his career was filled with notable roles, his personal life was marked by great sorrow. His first marriage to actress Jennifer Westley ended in a painful divorce, and they had one son, Matthew, who later struggled with addiction. Hutchings, deeply affected by the breakdown of his marriage, found himself battling depression. In his final years, he faced loneliness and deteriorating health, often finding solace only in his craft. Despite his successful career, Hutchings passed away after a brief illness, a tragic end to a life filled with personal demons and heartbreak. He died on July 1, 2010, at the age of 71 from meningitis, leaving behind a legacy of memorable performances, but his final days were overshadowed by the sadness that plagued him for much of his life.
Yeah, one or two.
I wish David would... He's not getting any younger. I'd love to see him, if not settled, at least going...
Barbara Jefford played Barbara Drinkwater in the 2000 episode of Midsomer Murder. She was 70 when she joined the series, portraying a strong and formidable character, much like the actress herself. Jefford had an illustrious career on stage and screen, but her personal life was marred by tragedy. Her marriage to director Michael Whitehall was a turbulent one, fraught with emotional distance and secrecy. Despite having 2 children, including television personality Jack Whitehall, her marriage ended in a bitter divorce. In her later years, she faced severe health issues, and the emotional toll of her past relationships made her increasingly isolated. Her battle with cancer was long and painful, and in her final years, she found herself alone, with only distant memories of her earlier successes. She passed away on September 12, 2020, at the age of 90 from esophageal cancer. After months of fighting the illness, her death a somber end to a life filled with quiet suffering and unspoken regrets.
Idea. Clever you. How marvelous it must be to have an idea.
Barbara Young, who played Quine in the 1997 episode of Midsomer Murders, was 66 when she took on the role, portraying a lively and dynamic character that reflected her own spirited personality. However, Young's career was overshadowed by personal tragedy. Her marriage to actor Geoffrey Beevers was marked by infidelity and constant emotional turmoil, eventually leading to a painful divorce. They had 2 children, but the family was plagued by conflict and unresolved issues. In her later years, Young found herself battling depression and struggling with the emotional fallout from her failed relationships. As her health deteriorated, she became increasingly isolated, her once vibrant personality dimmed by the weight of her past. Passed away on April 27, 2023, at the age of 92. Despite her career achievements, she passed away alone, the pain of her personal life lingering until her last breath.
Here, Anna. Thank you, dear. My cleaner, dishonest, and she drinks, but good to...
Malcolm Tierney, who portrayed the resilient Per Hansen in Midsomer Murders in 2004 at the age of 66, was admired for his ability to embody strong, determined characters. The character of Per Hansen, known for his unyielding strength, reflected Tierney's own perseverance in the face of personal turmoil. Despite his professional success, Tierney's life was riddled with challenges. His first marriage to actress Brenda Blethyn ended in a painful divorce, filled with emotional instability and frustration. Despite a successful career in theater and television, Tierney found himself constantly battling with depression and alcoholism, which plagued his later years. His health began to decline when he was diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis, a condition that slowly robbed him of his vitality and made everyday life a struggle. Tierney continued to work through his illness, but his physical and emotional health suffered deeply. He died on February 18, 2014, at the age of 75.
Resemblance to one I've seen in the Ashmolean.
Which Dr. Lavery found during a dig in Suffolk.
But which you claim comes from Midsomer Barrow.
Yes.
David Warner, who played the enigmatic Peter Fawcett in Midsomer Murders in 2011 at the age of 70, was renowned for his ability to play complex and multi-layered characters. However, his own life was far more difficult than any role he portrayed on screen. Warner's first marriage to actress Shelley Winters was filled with jealousy and infidelity, ultimately leading to their divorce. His second marriage, though initially hopeful, suffered from emotional distance and communication breakdowns, and Warner faced ongoing struggles with mental health and depression. As his personal life unraveled, Warner threw himself into his work, seeking solace in his craft. However, the toll of years of emotional distress took its toll on his physical health as well, and in his later years, Warner was diagnosed with cancer. Despite his health battles, he continued to work and left behind a lasting legacy of performances. He died on July 24, 2022, at the age of 80, after a long and painful battle with cancer.
Best pal a chap could ever have, and even though it came here in a circuitous and seemingly tragic route, we have no...
Robert Hardy, who portrayed Robert Cavendish in Midsomer Murders in 1999 at the age of 74, was a commanding presence both on and off screen. His portrayal of Cavendish, an authoritative figure, reflected Hardy's own life, which was filled with a series of personal tragedies. Hardy was married 3 times, each marriage filled with emotional turmoil and eventual heartbreak. His first marriage to actress Sally Mates ended in divorce, and his second marriage to actress Elizabeth Jarman also ended in separation after years of conflict. Despite these struggles, Hardy found solace in his career, yet the emotional strain of his personal life continued to affect him. He also faced a series of health challenges, including heart problems that compounded his emotional distress. Hardy passed away on August 3, 2017, at the age of 91.
First class, from the Meuse, General von Reichenau's 6th Army. A superb campaign.
Benjamin Whitrow portrayed Hugo Balcom in the 2001 episode of Midsomer Murders. He was 64 when he took on the role, portraying a dignified and authoritative character that reflected his own commanding presence. Whitrow's career spanned decades, but his personal life was a battleground of heartbreak. His first marriage to actress Joan Kirsch was marred by infidelity and constant tension, ultimately ending in divorce. He had 3 children, including his son, actor Toby Whitrow, but the constant strain of his relationships weighed heavily on him. Whitrow's emotional struggles, combined with a battle with depression, left him increasingly withdrawn as he aged. His final years were filled with solitude, compounded by health problems that left him frail. He died on September 28, 2017, at the age of 80, surrounded by few, and his death was a tragic conclusion to a life that, despite its professional success, was clouded by emotional turmoil and fractured relationships. Maurice Perry portrayed Ben Barrow in the 2001 Midsomer Murders episode. He was 76 when he joined the cast, playing a stern and authoritative character with the same commanding presence he exuded throughout his career. Perry's personal life, however, was far less stable. His first marriage to actress Jean Simmons ended in a bitter divorce, and they had 2 children. His relationship with his children, especially his son, was strained as he was often absent due to his dedication to his career. As he grew older, Perry faced loneliness and a growing sense of regret over his personal choices. His health began to deteriorate, and he found himself increasingly isolated, even though his career continued to flourish. Despite his remarkable longevity, his life was marked by emotional pain and personal regrets that followed him to his final days. Perry died on September 19, 2021, at the age of 96, his death casting a somber shadow over the life of a man whose personal struggles were far greater than his on-screen triumphs. John Cater played Jack Pierce in the 1998 Midsomer Murders episode. He was 66 when he took on the role of the sharp-minded and insightful Jack Pierce, a part that showcased Cater's skill in portraying complex characters. His career was full of notable achievements, but his personal life was filled with hidden pain. Cater's marriage to actress Gilda O'Neill was tumultuous, and they eventually divorced after years of emotional strain. They had 1 daughter, but the relationship with her was strained as she grew older, and they became distant. Cater's struggles with alcohol and depression further alienated him from those closest to him. In his final years, Cater faced the ravages of cancer, but the emotional scars from his earlier years were just as difficult to bear. He passed away on March 21, 2009, at the age of 77 due to liver cancer, after a prolonged battle, a tragic end to a life filled with emotional battles that overshadowed his considerable talent. Gillian Barge, who played the strong and determined Hannah Harrington in Midsomer Murders in 2002 at the age of 62, was known for her powerful performances and commanding presence on screen. Much like her character, Barge exuded strength, but her personal life was marked by overwhelming tragedy. Barge married fellow actor Michael O'Hagan, but their relationship was marred by constant strain, emotional breakdowns, and an eventual divorce. Though they had no children together, Barge was left with deep emotional scars from the end of her marriage. In her later years, Barge's health began to deteriorate as she was diagnosed with cancer, a battle she fought with courage but ultimately could not win. Her illness, however, was not the only tragedy that defined her final years. She faced the death of close friends and the isolation that came with it, leaving her feeling abandoned in her final days. Barge died on November 19, 2003, at the age of 63. Who is your favorite character in Midsomer Murders? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.